Right, back live with you tonight here on In Focus. ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa has applauded the Young Lions for successfully electing new leadership. He made the comments while closing the Youth League's elective conference in Nasrec in Johannesburg, which saw Colin Malachi elected leader unopposed. Well, let's get some reaction now on the ANC Youth League Congress, particularly on what President Cyril Ramaphosa had to say about this weekend's Congress. Political analyst Dr Kuhle Zwakala joins us now for that. Good to have you, Dr Zwakala, and thank you very much for your time. The President views the weekend as a success. He sent some members of the NEC that were there. He says they did a good job. In fact, he says the role that they played at this conference is what delivered this particular outcome, where now the ANC Youth League is now its autonomous organization, can no longer be handheld and controlled. Fine, we'll talk about that. But first, let's talk about that role of the ANC Youth League veterans. Others said they interfered. In fact, there are some folks in the Eastern Cape who are saying they are the ones who blocked us from participating.
Evening, to your viewers. I don't know about autonomy, but probably for another day. Look, I think ANC conferences in general, be it the leagues or the provinces or the regions, they're somewhat characterized by disgruntled factions, so to speak. I think we've come to expect that of the ANC conferences. There's highly likely to be a court interdict or some sort of a disgruntled grouping prior conference. This happens in all spheres of the ANC. Of course, the Youth League veterans and the ANC as a board would be very interested in the Youth League conference and its outcomes. Remember, we are a few months away from an election, and I think it's a very strategic move by the ANC to ensure that the Youth League conference does become a success. Remember, you're talking about a Youth League here that is historically known to be the foot soldiers of the ANC. And I think that the President was very explicit in the mandate that the Youth League must go and reposition the ANC within the youth, within APA. I'm not sure if mandate is for lack of a better word. I think it was a directive from the President to say, Youth League, you go and fetch the ANC votes with a couple of months to go before the election.
Yeah, he says they must go and claim the title preferred leader of young people. Is there still space for the ANC Youth League to do that? And is there capacity within its current leadership to do that?
Like, capacity is definitely not an issue. I think what I find particularly exciting about this elected leadership is that these are young people. They're very energetic. Some of them come from historically from being active in the ranks of SASCO. And I think a youth league with a flavor of SASCO can only benefit. So I think there's definitely no doubt as far as the capacity is concerned. But I'm not sure about the space, right? The President does allude to them being autonomous. However, the ANC must then they must create an enabling environment for the Youth League to robustly engage the ANC where they may not see eye to eye. Whether there's space for that, I'm not sure, but capacity is definitely not an issue. These are definitely capable young people.
There's a question, for example, about an out-of-touch leadership, that these young people are so closed, for example, to the veterans and the old folks that would have stage-managed this particular Congress and this particular outcome, that those individuals are not independent enough to be able, for example, to come up with creative and strategic ideas on how best to achieve some of the goals that we need to achieve, for example, in economic emancipation.
That's a justified narrative. That's a very justified narrative, because even with the task teams, right? Let young people lead themselves, right? Majority of the task team, I went through the list, the different sets of task teams that were elected. It's all people. Youth League speaking, you had 38, 39-year-olds that were tasked to sing to the issues of the Youth League, right? So I'm saying, if the ANC does not create an environment that welcomes particularly contradictions, but the Youth League is known to be historically radical, right? If they don't create that environment, if they don't create the environment of dialogue from young people, because these young people are definitely in touch with the youth, right? Because they are the youth. But now, if the ANC Youth League veterans, so to speak, will suffocate these young minds, then I mean that defeats the purpose of having a youth league as a very important structure. I mean in the ANC. So definitely these leaders will be in touch with the youth league, but I'm not sure about the veterans themselves. Are they in touch with the youth in general? And will they create, again, I want to be emphatic on this point, will they create a dialogue-based type of engagement environment with the ANC and the ANC Youth League without necessarily suffocating ideas that are coming from young people? And I think the ANC would definitely need that. The majority of the voter type, it's young people, right? And we talk about voter apathy, we talk about people staying away, the youth not being interested. If the ANC does want to reposition itself to being relevant in society, relevant within the youth, then they should let these young people that have been elected over this weekend to do their job.
President Cyril Ramaphosa says something rather interesting, which I suppose indicates where he's charging them to go to. He says they should be the voice of the revolution. Now, we know which party likes to own this particular tag of being revolutionary. And almost to say, take the fight to the opposition in terms of the space of being the voice of the revolution. Is the ANC Youth League having the appetite to do that?
Yeah, I think I don't think no one particular party can sort of claim being revolutionaries. I think if that party they come from the ranks of the Youth League, but I think the posture of this current Youth League, the recently elected Youth League, their profile may not necessarily appear to be as radical as those former youth leaguers who were seen to be radicals, right? And I think there's nothing that is necessarily wrong with that.
Yeah, well, it's said Colin Malachi is trained by Julius Malema, so he comes from that school of radical kind of posture.
That's neither here nor there, Tabo. So I'm saying the profile of this current Youth League may be different to what the Youth League is known for. And I'm saying, if you talk about the Secretary General, for instance, he comes from the ranks of South African Students Congress, an organization that enables dialogue prior any kind of radicalism. So I would say they may be different as far as the postures that they may take, but they're definitely they're not less revolutionaries compared to any other organization. And I really do think that their organization should give them a chance. They may just take a different approach as far as this revolutionary tag is concerned, as far as this radicalism is concerned, right? Will they be intellectual radicals? I don't know. Will they be foot soldiers on the streets? I don't know. But I think given a chance, they've been recently elected. I think let's give them a chance. I'm very confident generally in young people of any organization.
Dr. Kuhle Zwakala, much appreciated. Thanks for coming on. Some analysis there from Dr. Kuhle Zwakala. Right, take a break now. When we come back, what's been making news tonight on In Focus? Stay with us.